Welcome back to another episode of the Elevated Chat Room. Elevate your mind, elevate your life. It's your host, Lonzo Jones. I am solo today. All right, so I'm going to tackle this topic myself. The topic for tonight is mentors, rewriting the story of broken generational cycles. All right, so I'm a mentor. The whole Rescue Me project is built on mentorship. So that's just one thing that we believe in. And I think a lot of times there's a negative connotation that comes with the word mentorship. So it's actually leadership. We're teaching young men and young women, young boys and girls how to be leaders. And everybody needs a mentor. No matter where you're at in life, I don't care if you feel like you reached the top or you're building, you need a mentor. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player ever to do it. Yes, I'll say the greatest ever to do it. Had a trainer. So there was somebody teaching the greatest how to be greater. Okay, so in other words, relating to our lives, there's always somebody that we look up to that can help us go to another level. And so we shouldn't be so complacent or think that we have arrived and just stop learning, stop growing. So we all need a mentor, and let's take the negative connotation off the word mentor. We all need to learn how to lead and learn how to lead better. So if you're in a leadership role, if you're a student, if you're an athlete, if you are a professional, if you're a parent, that includes pretty much everybody. We need mentorship. All right, here we go. So I got 7 points that we're going to go over, and it'll be quick. We probably won't be as long as we normally are. We got 7 points we're going to go over. So I'm going to start with number 1. A mentor plays a crucial role in breaking down negative cycles by providing guidance, support, and a fresh perspective. And here's the number 1. We provide knowledge and experience. Okay. It says mentors share wisdom from their own experiences, helping mentees avoid repeating mistakes. They also offer insights into better decision-making and problem-solving strategies. Okay. So they need somebody that has a higher level of thinking. So they created this problem, or they come across this problem or this issue, and their mind doesn't possess the power to get them out of it. So they need somebody else that thinks a little bit higher. So that's what we can come in at. We break it down. So if I'm talking to a student and he says, well, I want to get into real estate. And so I know a little bit about real estate investing. So I would then break down the different ways that he can get involved or she can get involved in real estate. They thinking that, hey, they need a lot of money to get involved. Like, no, you really don't. There's this thing called wholesaling. You can literally flip a contract, a piece of paper, and make money off of it with no money, having no money in your pocket. So then there's ways that you can buy a property on seller finance where you have to come out of pocket very little, if any, depending on how you structure the deal. So there's plenty of ways that you can get involved in real estate. So I can break that down for them. Or if you have a level of knowledge, a certain level of knowledge in any particular area, you are able to help them correct a problem. You are able to take them from where they want to be to where they want to go. That's mentorship. Now, let me tell you this. If you're around children, if you're around young adults, consistently, whether you want to be or not, you are a mentor. Okay? So there's somebody looking up to you, whether you know it or not. You are a mentor. I'm sorry. Okay, so there's this thing I came up with. It's called PAC, P-A-C. See, in order to be an effective mentor, you have to be present. You have to have the ability to hold the student or the young person accountable. And then you have to be consistent. PAC, P-A-C. Present, accountability, and consistent. Those things right there is going to separate you from just being a mentor or a person that's in their life, shifting to being an effective mentor in their life, an effective leader in their life. You have to be that, okay? So let's make sure we got that understood. You got to be present. You got to have the ability to hold them accountable, and you have to be consistent. They already got people coming in and out of their life, okay? They don't need you to come in and out of their life. So if you said you're going to be there, then be there. Okay, so when we have people volunteer here at the Rescue Me Project or the Jump, one of the things we ask is, look, we don't want you to come every day. We don't want you to come every week. But whenever you say you can be here, we need you to be here. So if you say, hey, I can come once a month, well, we'll expect you once a month. If you say I can come every day, then guess what? We're going to expect you to come every day. But we don't put the pressure on you. We want you to decide, okay? But you got to be consistent. You got to be able to hold these kids accountable. Okay. And we'll get more into accountability a little bit later on in one of the points. Okay. Number 2, building confidence and self-worth. So as a mentor, we help them build confidence and self-worth. Okay. You got to think about it now. We're rewriting the story of broken generational cycles. And speaking of cycles, we've all heard the term, generational curse. And see, I'm always on the other end thinking like, nah, is it really a generational curse or is it generational learned behavior? Okay. Because if it's a curse, then you can't break it. You see what I'm saying? But with it being learned, something that's learned, then we can relearn something. Okay. So let's just keep that in mind. All right. So with building confidence and self-worth, many negative cycles stem from self-doubt or lack of belief in one's abilities. Mentors encourage growth and help mentees see their potential. See, we start each group session off with affirmations. And also, when I take my boys to school in the morning, we do affirmations. Why? Because we're helping build self-confidence and self-worth. So we'll start the group off with, I am strong, I can do it, I am smart, I am wise, I am a leader, I will persevere, I will stand up for what's right, I will fight for my generation, I will cultivate a positive attitude, I am a king, I am athletic, I am gifted, I am chosen. We start every class off like that. When I drop my boys off at school, we say that every morning. Why? Because they got to get in their mind. They got to get it deep down within them to know that when life hits them, or when somebody calls them weak, or somebody tell them they can't do it, or when somebody calls them stupid, or when someone says they're not smart, guess what? They've already started their day off with affirmations. They've already started to build themselves up on the right things. So therefore, it's going to be a whole lot harder for them to be overcome. Okay. So affirmations help build that self-confidence and that self-worth. So as we are mentoring, let's make sure that we're building them up, not tearing them down. Number 3, it says offering accountability. Regular check-ins help mentees stay on track with goals and commitments. A mentor provides constructive feedback, helping break patterns of procrastination or self-sabotage. So without accountability, there's no productivity. Without accountability, there's no productivity. So if we don't hold them accountable, then they're not going to line up or match up or arrive to where they need to be. Okay. Because you got to think about it. That's the one thing that makes most students or even young people, young adults included, that's what makes them want to get up in the morning and take that next step, because they know they can't let the next person down. When you're on the team, you know you have a specific role that you have to play. So you know the team is counting on you, so you have to be accountable. Okay. So we have to make sure that we set realistic goals and realistic expectations for our mentees and then hold them to it. Okay. Now, sometimes we'll have to be flexible in those things that we're holding them to. But when it's all said and done, we need to make sure we put their feet to the fire, because they have to learn now. The quicker they learn to be accountable, the better off they're going to be, the better adult they're going to be, because they're not going to run from responsibility. OK, and that's one of the problems we have right now with the young generation that's coming up. They run from responsibilities because they're not being held accountable. They're always looking for an easy way out. They're always looking for somebody to bail them out. There's a quote that I always say: if you bail them out, you'll always be bailing them out. So we got to get to the point where we're holding those young people, those mentees, those children, the young adults that look up to us, and we have that mentorship type relationship with them. We have to make sure we're holding them accountable. All right. Number 4, expanding networks and opportunities. Negative cycles often persist due to limited access to resources and connections. Mentors introduce mentees to new opportunities and people who can help them move forward. Okay, so we have this program called the Z Factor, and it's at multiple schools here in the Shoals area. But one of the things we teach them is about branding. Okay, you are a brand. Each student, you are your own brand. So therefore, when a coach calls me, say you're being recruited, you're an athlete, and a coach calls us because we're a resource, we're going to be honest with them. So we're not going to sit there and tell them like, oh yeah, he's a great student. He's respectful. He's doing all these different things if you're not. So you are a brand. So you got Nike, you got Adidas, you got all these brands. And when you see that brand, you recognize, you already know what it stands for. So when someone says your name as a student or as an athlete or as a young adult, there's something in their mind that comes with that because you're a brand. So what does your brand say about you? So your brand is going to get you into a lot of places, or it can get you into a lot of places. But if you're not careful and you're not representing yourself right, you don't have a good brand, who's going to want to put their name on the line for you? Okay. So you cannot get mad if a coach call or a recruiter calls and they asking us questions about you, and we have to be honest with them. You don't end up getting a job, or you don't end up getting that scholarship, or you don't get that position. You don't get that promotion. Okay. So you got to remember that you are a brand. And through the Z Factor, we have so many connections in the community. And we tell these kids, like, look, if you do right, if you be respectful, I guarantee we'll be able to, there's somebody out there that we know that you're going to need one day that we can help put in a good word for you that'll help you get that job, that promotion, or whatever that thing is you're looking for. So you got to make sure you have a good brand. And so by being connected to people that have connections, you are able to have opportunities. Okay. So your network is very important. So as a mentor, we get to show them a different way of living. We get to take them on, field trips and different places they never would go. They get to experience new things. They get to experience new opportunities simply because we're willing to share some of our time and our resources and our energy with them. So you got to remember that as a mentor, you have the ability to expose them to new things. Then as a mentee, if you play your role right, if you grow and mature, you have an opportunity to be blessed in your future by the connection that you made through your mentor. All right. Number 5, modeling positive behavior. Okay. Seeing a mentor succeed despite challenges can inspire a mentee to break free from negative cycles. They demonstrate resilience, discipline, and other success-oriented habits. Okay. One of the things I always talk about when it comes to being a mentor is transparency. Okay. So you can't walk in a room and act like you perfect. Like, you got to be relatable. Like, these kids are going through all kind of stuff. You probably wouldn't even be even to imagine the stuff they go through. Okay. Now, we went through stuff when we was younger, but it was like, there was boundaries, there was limits. Now it's like, bro, they done stretched the limits to a certain extent. There's no limits. You know, they've experienced a whole lot at younger ages. So, like, I tell them about me being a walk-on at Jacksonville State. You know, so coming out of high school, I was a pretty decent athlete. You know, I thought I should have had multiple scholarships, but didn't get the major scholarships like I wanted. So I ended up walking on at Jacksonville State. But if you see me and you see me wearing a championship ring, you may think, oh man, he got a scholarship and, you know, he just went out there, did his thing. It was easy for him. You know, he never had no adversity. No. I walked on. I didn't get a scholarship to my 3rd year at Jacksonville State. Okay. So I share my story with them. I talk about how when I got there, I felt like I should have been on scholarship based off the other wide receivers that came in with me. And that's no knock to them. But it is what it is. And so I had to fight. I had to work harder. I had to get bigger. I had to get faster. I had to get stronger. I had to get smarter. I had to learn the offense in and I had to learn all positions. And so by the time my 3rd year came about, I earned a scholarship. And I started the first game of the year. But I'm gonna tell you why. I went through the fact that, okay, I wasn't the fastest, I wasn't the strongest, but I was one of the bigger receivers, and I was also one of the smarter receivers. So I took that and I used my size and I used my mind to earn that scholarship. I learned all 4 positions at wide receiver. And when I came to college, I was about 177. And by the time I stepped on the field my 3rd year, I was like 210. So now you got a bigger receiver that you can put in different spots that knows all the positions, and he can go block linebacker, which I did not want to. Now, you know, but I just wanted to prove to myself that I can get a scholarship and step on that field. So very first game of the year, I'm hitting linebackers, 215, 230, 245. I'm like, coach, hey, I know I'm a big receiver, but hey, I ain't signed up for this. But it got me on the field. So there's going to be some sacrifices you have to make, you know, on your journey. And These are the types of things we have to tell these students. Like, tell them how hard it's really going to be when they graduate high school. Don't let them think it's just going to be easy and just life just, you know what I'm saying, going to be laid out for them. Like, no, it's going to be some challenges and you're going to have to step up. You know, tell them about stuff you went through as far as with relationships, with your marriage, you know, and things like that. Tell them about, you know, your college life, and tell them about things that happened to you when you was adolescent, when you was in grade school and different things like that. Let them know, like, hey, I can relate to you because, oh man, I went through this, or you know what, man, my cousin went through this, you know. So man, it also teaches you to get to a whole nother level of empathy. You know what I'm saying? And you put yourself in their shoes now. You try to be as relatable as you can, be transparent, be open, be honest with these kids. I'm telling you right now, they can read you. They can read you. They know when you lying. They know when you putting on. They know when you're trying to get over on them. You know what I'm saying? Be authentic with them, man. Be your real, raw self with them. And that's another thing. I think sometimes when we talk about mentorship, we think you got to have it all together. You don't have to have it all together. You got to be present. You got to hold them accountable. And you got to be consistent. You ain't got to have no big title. None of that. You can just be something as simple as a volunteer coach. Okay? So you don't have to have all the degrees. You don't have to be making a certain amount of money. You don't have to be driving a certain car. As long as you got something to offer and you're present, you hold them accountable, and you're consistent, then you qualify to be a mentor. Now, don't get me wrong. There's certain morals and values you do have to go along with that. But in the grand scheme of things, that is what you need. Be present, hold them accountable, and be consistent. All right, let's move on. Point number 6. It says encouraging a growth mindset. Mentors help shift perspectives from a fixed mindset, I can't change, to a growth mindset, I can improve with effort. They teach that setbacks are learning experiences rather than failures. Say it one more time. As a mentor, we teach that setbacks are learning experiences rather than failures. So there's two things that I always tell students or young adults when I'm talking to them that life is always doing. It's always doing two things. It's teaching and testing. Okay? Get that now. Life is always doing what? Teaching and testing. It's teaching you new life lessons that you need to learn. It's teaching you areas you're flawed in. And then it's testing you to see if you are who you say you are. Because most of the time when you get tested, it's challenging your morals and your values. So now you got to make that decision. Do I step out of who I say I am, or do I choose integrity and walk in who I say I am? So life is always teaching and testing. And see, when it goes back to encouraging a growth mindset, we have to realize that our mind is a garden, and whatever you put in is going to manifest, is going to grow. It doesn't care what you plant. And see, we're telling these kids, look, your mind is a garden. So if you put garbage in, garbage out, trash in, trash out. So your mind don't care. Just like if you have a garden at home, whatever you plant is going to grow. So you have to make sure we're planting the right things in our minds. We have to make sure we're teaching our mentees and encouraging them to put the right things in their mind, because their mind is a garden. It's going to grow. And I can look at a kid's playlist. They can put on his phone or their iPad or whatever they listen to music on. And I say, man, let me see your playlist. And I can tell by what's on their playlist the type of decisions and what kind of mindset they have based off of what they're feeding their mind. What are you reading? What are you watching? And who or what are you listening to? Growth mindset. So if you really pay attention to it, when you wake up in the morning, you know what I'm saying, and you get ready to put on some music and you want to get in the right mood, you never have to say, well, man, I'm going to put on some negative music, because what's negative is always available. You always have to say, man, I got to put on something positive. You see, I got to put on something motivational. I got to put on something spiritual. Because if you don't say those things, you already know it's going to be negative. Okay? So we have to teach these kids, man, as a mentor, hey, look, I'm encouraging you to shift your mindset from negativity to positivity. What are you reading? What are you watching? And who or what are you listening to? That is going to pretty much help you make every decision in life. So your decisions for the future are already being made right now by what you're feeding your mind. Think about that. Because you can't make a decision if it's not already been planted in your head. So everything that our kids and these young adults and young students are feeding themselves, eventually it's got to come out. Okay, so let's make sure that we start shifting their mindset, helping them shift their mindsets. Different books. You know what I'm saying? Start watching and start, instead of them watching stuff that just entertains them, start telling them to watch stuff that educates them. Knowledge. They say knowledge is the new money. If you got knowledge, you got education, you can make money because you're providing a service. All right. All right. Number 7, providing emotional support. And like I said, the topic for tonight is mentors, rewriting the story of broken generational cycles. Number 7, providing emotional support. Many negative cycles are fueled by feelings of isolation or hopelessness. A mentor provides encouragement and reassurance during those tough times. This goes back to the first letter in POC. Present. Are you present when they really need you? Okay. And that's what's going to be key. There's going to be times in life where, they don't have nobody showing up for their basketball game. They don't have nobody showing up for a school project they're a part of. They don't have nobody showing up for robotics or a debate or a mathematics project. They don't have nobody to show up. Or they don't have nobody to show up when life hits them and their girlfriend, their boyfriend breaks up with them and it's crushing their whole world. They don't have nobody to show up, when a loved one passes away. They don't have nobody to show up when their parents get divorced. That's where you step in. You just got to be present. And you may not know the right things to say, but your presence says a lot. Your presence says it all sometimes. Show up, be present, a simple hug, a simple I know, or a simple I got you. It's sometimes all they need. Sometimes all they need. Providing emotional support. Now, I remember when I was in high school, I had at the time, didn't know he was a mentor, but his name was Thad Fitzpatrick, Coach Fitz, a sensible assistant principal Fitzpatrick. He was one of the first men that I saw outside of my home that represented what a male, and a black male at that, looked like, or what you should aspire to be. He was smart. He was educated. He was a family man, great husband, great father, heck of a basketball coach. But he also was stern, held us accountable. He demanded certain things from us. He had structure, accountability. You see what I'm saying? So when I met him at the time, you feel like he's being hard on you, but then you realize as you get grown, it's like, nah, bro, he was trying to raise us to be men. But guess what? He did have a title, but it wasn't like he was just like super special to where he was like a celebrity. So basically what I'm getting is anybody can be a mentor. I'm pretty sure right now you could think back right now of some people that was mentors in your life, and I guarantee you they wasn't celebrities. They wasn't famous. They was somebody in your local community that took the time out to pour into you. So we can do the same thing. Now, I still remember some of the things that Coach Fitz taught us. One of the things he would say all the time on the basketball court: hustle beats talent when talent don't hustle. Hustle beats talent when talent don't hustle. So you can be one of the most athletic, the most gifted athletes, but there could be another kid over there that just gives max effort and he can outdo you. So they always say, a lot of these coaches always say nowadays, I would rather take a 3-star or 2-star athlete with a 5-star hustle than a 5-star athlete with 2-star hustle. See, hustle beats talent when talent don't hustle. And then the next thing he would say was, y'all just play basketball. Y'all ain't basketball players. Let that sink in. Y'all just play basketball. Y'all ain't basketball players. So there's things in life that we're doing, whether it's teaching, educating, coaching, whatever that role is in life. Sometimes we just coaching, but we ain't no coach. We ain't no teacher. We ain't no, because we're not embodying that thing, everything that comes with that title and that role. That's what he was getting at. He's like, man, y'all just showing up. Y'all just out here just because you made the team. You just showing up to get a check. See, that's not how it's supposed to be. We should show up to embody the whole role. Because guess what? When you showed up and students and young people showed up with you and they look up to you, whether you know it or not, you step into a role of a mentor. So we have to learn to cultivate that gift, cultivate that skill, those skills that we need to be the most productive, impactful, and effective mentor that we can possibly be. Okay? So are you present? Are you holding them accountable? And are you consistent? Those are the things that's going to get us to where we need to be when it comes to reaching the youth, when it comes to changing lives, when it comes to being an effective mentor. I told y'all this episode was going to be pretty quick. Let me see. What, about 30 minutes? I don't think I got nothing else left for you guys on tonight. But just wanted to come through and like I'm relaxed today. I mean, like I said, you don't have to look like a mentor. What does a mentor look like? You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't know, because no. There's no certain look that a mentor has. Now, don't get me wrong, if the place is calling for you to dress a certain way, then yeah, you dress a certain way. You know what I'm saying? But I remember when we first started speaking at schools, we would wear bow ties or shirt and ties and blazers and slacks and you know what I'm saying, Stacey Adams shoes, like dress shoes. And then we realized, like, man, we ain't connecting with the youth. We ain't connected with these students. So now when we show up, you know what I'm saying, we got on t-shirts that got sayings on it. We got on Jordans, we got on some jeans. We're dressed like them, but we're still professional in our dressing. But now it breaks down another barrier, like, oh man, they up in these suits and shirts and ties and they think they better than us, or they ain't never been through what we done been through. So you got to be relatable. You know what I'm saying? They're just breaking down those barriers. But like I said, man, just show up and embody your role, because whether you want to or not, you are a mentor. Somebody somewhere is looking up to you. Okay. So let's make sure we're making a difference in these kids and young adults' lives. And sometimes you can be a mentor to somebody that's your own age, and sometimes you can actually mentor somebody that's older than you. So we can pretty much take the age limits off of mentorship, because everybody should have a mentor. So be looking to pour into somebody's life. Like I said, as a mentor, we're writing the story of broken generational cycles. We provide knowledge and experience. We help build confidence and self-worth. We offer accountability. We expand networks and opportunities. We model positive behavior. We encourage a growth mindset, and we provide emotional support. Be present, hold them accountable, and be consistent. All right, that's my time, Lonzo Jones. We checking out. Listen, this has been a pretty solid episode. I've enjoyed it. I hope you guys get some out of it. Like, share. I mean, anybody that's out there dealing with the youth or in mentorship or mentees in any kind of way, feel free to share this, break it down. If I missed something, or if you guys wanted to add another thing that mentors do, this is not an all in all. Feel free to shoot us a text or comment or whatever the case may be. Let us know. We checking out of here. Elevator chat room. Elevate your mind. Elevate your life. You guys be blessed.